Hey everybody, Texas Trucker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star Mopars.com. It's daylight savings time. We've got an extra hour of daylight. Could not be happier. So, what we're going to do here, I don't ever, you never know if somebody's going to watch your video for the first time, or if it's just, the same audience and you've seen everything over and over. If you're tuning into this for the first time and you want like further examination of this product, I've checked out things that are super similar to it in previous videos, and the first time we dive into something, it's going to be the most detailed. For everyone else, I kind of feel like I do you a disservice when we have like the exact same talking points and it just sort of doubles up on time. Granted, it might be a couple months old and you might have forgotten about it or you get a refresher. But what we have here on the mat, the Hercules 3/8 short ratchet, man, I love my long neck when it works. And then this one right here, which we finally got to open that up. This one is brushless and it's got the 5-year warranty on it, so thrilled about that. Everything else I have from Hercules was before they did the fancy long warranty, unfortunately. So, what we're going to be talking about is right here. This is just something I kind of need. This has actually been opened because I've had to pull it out for comparison to other products. So I'm going to attempt to clear the runway so we can have a landing of this. I'm going to try to get through this a little quicker than we do, again, because of fewer details. What we have here, you may not know, some of you Icon veterans or Harbor Freight aficionados will deduce that with this red, maroon, burgundy color they've selected that it's Icon and it's SAE. Icon, obviously, by the label, the packaging, just kind of over the top, the branding, which you can now see, and of course just the red tray for SAE. For metric, they kind of do a gray. So, inspired by Snap-on, most likely. But what we have is just a situation. I've told you, I have a sneaking suspicion why I'm getting these, but I don't know if it's correct. But I get like the 25% coupons all the time emailed to me. And those are really good to use, right? I mean, that's typically, if you're getting 20% off, it's kind of like this is the time to buy. 25 is just like bonus, 5% extra. And this is a situation I really didn't with metric, like half-inch drive, for example, I take seriously. I'm typically doing that with pneumatics. It's got more force behind it, more torque. I value my hands, eyes, and bodily structures and critical components, and so that's kind of where I invest. So we've got Right and we've got Proto. Why? Years and years of experience at work. Metric, we get more and more into it, as I do like more late model stuff for people, but like if I could pick what I do exclusively, it would be 60s and 70s muscle cars, maybe 50s, like, the forward look Mopars. Those are pretty sweet, but that would be it. And, do I think the 2.2 and 2.5 turbo cars are cool? Sure. A highlight of the 80s, I suppose. But it's just a deal like I'm the happiest in the 60s and 70s, So what that leads us to is I don't value metric as much as I do SAE. A lot of you're going to be all about, the Hellcat, and the late model Hemis and, Scat Pack this and 6.4 that. And for the majority of people, it's LS1 or now the Coyotes and all that stuff. And that, of course, it's all metric. And so maybe, you do Coyote crud, all day long you're throwing turbos on Coyotes and stuff and rebuilding transmissions that can't support the power. So you do metric stuff. But maybe you've got a customer, really good, trusts you with their stuff, and they roll in with somehow a 68 Mustang, right? Somehow it got there, probably on a trailer. But it got there. You're going to need SAE. But it's not your bread and butter. It's not what you typically do. It's not necessarily what you enjoy doing the most. And that's kind of where I'm at with metric. So with the metric stuff, I love doing weird crud like Icon, right? Because is it going to be good? Is it going to be great? Is it going to be okay? Is it going to be like pretty much the same as everything else? Is it junk? Not the end of the world. With 3/8, I totally had my plan in place of the brands I wanted to bring in. And it's just a deal where the 25% makes things like you sort of can't go wrong, Plus, it's the lifetime warranty. For me, it's easy to get to and out of a Harbor Freight. Like if I blow off my half and 9/16 the same weekend, I can run up there. I'm at a point where I like whatever time I go, I usually have some employee or 2 or 3 that know me, and I'm covered. I'm taken care of, right? So when you couple all that with just the fact that I can get it so stupidly cheap, it's kind of like, man, we should just give it a go. And the kicker is, I would have loved to have like burned through, you know, and had the 3/8 metric swivels in use for, you know, 2 weeks, a month, heavy use, and be like, man, these are actually pretty good. Or, ooh, you know, that's wearing very, very badly for this short of a time span. I should probably just not even question it here and go my desired route with the SAE stuff that'll see more use. You have situations where there's things I want to buy and they're not in stock, and then if this is in stock and I can get it for 25% off, it's hard not to do it. So $119 is, if you're thinking like, hey, I thought those were cheaper, well, metric is $109, SAE, you get a couple more sockets or something, so it's $10 higher in this case. So basically $120 for 12 sockets, which is a pretty solid buy in and of itself. But now think about that 25% off. Okay, what's 120 divided by 4? That's $30. 30, 60, 90, 120, right? So 120 minus $30, right? This is like $89.99 at that point, $90. And then you do your math, your 12 sockets into 90. 12 times 8 is 96. 12 times 7 is 84. It's like $7 to $8 a socket for impact rated swivels. And the thing that we do know from Icon, and the reason that I even brought these in metric, the swivels, I was really impressed by how thick. Number one, they were chrome moly, and number two, they had really fat sidewalls. I know, disadvantage in many situations, but typical run-of-the-mill perfect scenario, no, you know, space or, you know, constraints or confinements. I want the fattest slug of an impact I can get. It's going to last longer, and it's going to do a better job for me. So they check all the boxes there. I was very impressed, you know, with the metric shallow and the metric deep that we got in 1/2-inch drive, and that's sort of the gateway into the swivels. This is just a deal where when I can get a 12-piece swivel set for $90, like, that's kind of, like I said, these could suck. They could be terrible. I can always replace them. You eventually get to a point where you're sick of it and you're like, you know, I'm selling these, I'm giving them to a friend, I'm trading them, whatever I can do, and I'm just going to buy something better, you know, warranty be danged, right? But if they hold up, like, that's just a stupid goodbye. You'd almost expect to pay the $7 to $8 for like standard non-swivel units, right? So this was just honestly too good to pass up, in my opinion. And these will probably be our gateway to determine how good the swivels are, because they will likely be my most used. Basically what we have here is part number 12 US-12. It's the 3/8 drive set. Cover the sizes in a second. High visibility stamp size markings for easy ID. We will critique this, okay, when we open them up. Chamfered socket openings for easy engagement. That's another huge thing for me personally. That's how I prefer them. Precision forge for maximum grip and torque. Premium storage tray included. Here in red, perhaps the biggest selling point for many of us with impacts. Chrome moly. That's what I prefer. I don't care what engineers say about chrome vanadium and advancements. I want it to be moly. So 12-piece, no skip. That's one thing Icon does well, you know, is no skip. Sometimes they have a small set and a jumbo set and they skip a critical size in between, but the two sets technically don't skip anything when they leave that out in the middle, right? But in the sockets, they do pretty good. This is a pretty comprehensive set, okay? So 5/16, 3/8, 7/16, half, 9/16. Between those three sizes and 4 if we include 3/8, that's really where, you know, the bread and butter of 3/8 drive stuff for me is going to be. Half and 9/16, 7/16 as well. 3/8 is kind of a bonus. We do have 5/8, 11/16, 3/4, which again, 1/2-inch hardware. We'll use that one quite a bit. 13/16, 7/8. This actually has 15/16, which is fantastic. 5/8 hardware, if you will, and then 1-inch. So, like I said, there's really nothing to complain about here. You know, some people might be like, I wish it had, you know, 1/4. Okay, you know, that's an understandable complaint. Some of you might be like, I wish it went to 1/8, 1/4. Okay, I mean, realistically, you should be using 1/2-inch. Maybe it's a space deal where this slightly slimmer profile gets you in. But all in all, for a 12-piece no-skip set at that price point, there's really not much to complain about. Backside, surprisingly, you don't really get much information on these. But we're going to go through here. High visibility stamp size markings again. We will critique this, but swivel joint rotates easily for hard to reach fasteners. Is that blurry for you or just me? There we go. So, heat treated to provide superior strength and resistance from repeated cycle loads, and a durable black phosphate finish to help resist corrosion. So, icon stuff. This is where I'm going to save us a ton of time, all right? I've gone into this, and I do think I actually got a better deal on these. I believe I got to put my 25% coupon on when these were in the, like, temporarily reduced price. So I think these and the metrics were like $10 cheaper. So the metrics were like $99 instead of $109, and these were $109 instead of $119. So take, do the math there. It's just a stupid goodbye, all right? I do have Capri 3/8 swivels that we brought in, so I could use those at work, 1/2 and 9/16 only at this point in time. I do like the finish out on those better, but they are really, really similar. I think Capri just ticked a few boxes different, and we'll talk about that. I didn't even bother to bring them out here. The highlight of this in the next video may very well be how we take these apart, because there's tons and tons of screws with Icon products, and you'll note right here they're going to be #1 Phillips. So we're going to need to rotate this guy. We're actually using the pocket Zyklops here. So I don't use her much, but this is where we're going to sort of try to have it pay out for us. I want to make sure that I grab this enough for the magnet. Now we're going to come here. I do this for leverage, broker free. We're going to come up if we can. Do I use this much? No, I sure don't. I actually forget that it ratchets. So now we're just going to go into speed mode here. Just giving you an example of something this thing could do. I've got the 89mm 1-inch Phillips on there. Let's see, did we extract enough? We did. Sweetness. Sometimes I leave like a thread or two in there, evidenced by this one. So, trying to keep my sleeve out of there for you. It's 75 yesterday, it's like 50 something today, but there's an extra hour of daylight, so I don't care. Yeah, this is the problem child right here. Not sure what more I have to do. You know what? This is ridiculous. That's got to be out of there. There we go. Okay, so it's a little over the top, the packaging. Again, I've covered this in really ridiculous detail, but where I was going with this is it might be nice. I get it. Like, these are, in terms of the quality and the packaging and the presentation and a wow factor, they've done a nice job. But I would almost prefer to buy these in like a cardboard box with this tray in it and save $10 or $20. I honestly think one of the reasons they do this is like theft prevention. You'd have to sit there like an idiot for a long time with really, really long screws and then clumsily take this all apart. That might be their deal. It might just be they want to be able to rack it, and this is heavy and they need that support. Clearly, if you do cardboard, you'd have to shelve it, down low instead of hang it on a rack. They could keep them in the back under lock and key. There's lots of ways to work around it. And I say that because this, it's pretty fancy. I'm not gonna lie. This is a thick, stupid thick lid. It's a stupid thick case. And then we've had a small crisis here that I can't really work my way around, I think. But like this, okay? I'm not gonna lie, there's a ton of stuff I can do with these. I can throw extensions in them. I can throw, stuff, you can put your Wera collection in them and then have a lid for it. You name it, bits, staples, screws, bolts, hardware. You can throw all of your cut off terminals that you might need at some point in time. And then if you put the lid back on, it's see-through. So you can totally look down in there and be like, hey, this is good stuff. And oh, there's the terminal that I need right there. And it's really kind of a cool little bonus when you're buying a set of tools. That's why I can't throw these away. But I'd also be content just shaving $10 or $15 off of the set of sockets, okay? That's just me. I'm always interested in your thoughts on it. But I mean, think of this. You take your sticker off and just throw in, like I said, terminals or nut drivers. Or, I mean, you have these sitting around somewhere, you just chuck them in there. These bit bars that I've got hanging out, just throw them in there. Then you have a lid that creates a flat surface, and you can stack this. There's some of my wall art back there if you want to check it out. But I think it'd be nice, even if they did it as an option, where a guy could just get the box with this tray for $10, $15 less, you know. It would just basically, people would be more inclined to buy the swivel sockets and be like, hey, these are really good. Or, you know, there'd be more feedback like, don't buy them, they're junk. But that's all I'll go into there, because I know we've hit it very, 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 very detailed before. Somehow these jumped around, but this right here is actually pretty sufficient. And I say that because that's almost like you're putting your sockets in Fort Knox. You're going to spend more time getting to the sockets to pick a socket than you are going to use the socket, right? This seems stupid and overkill, the plastic lid, but I tell you, if you work somewhere, you know, maybe you have to roll your cart outside and you're under an awning, you know, and they're cutting hay, and all that crud just drifts in, and it just, you know, these are oiled. It's like a magnet for dust and debris. Same thing, if you're in a body shop, you need these, you know, like rip-off body components, you know, plastic bumpers and stuff. If you have that tray, it gets covered in sanding debris, but your sockets are clean, right? So it is nice. I get it. Some people are going to ditch this completely. Some people are just going to have it like this, and the rest of that's gone. But it's just, that is a really nice tray that you can use and do all sorts of things with. Repurpose it for whatever you want. I mean, your wife, some of you, I mean, painting, artsy crap, whatever, you know. But there's probably a good portion of us that would just like to save the money, you know. So coming in right here, can we fix it? Yes, we can. Look at that, super fast. The thing here on the tray that I am not a huge fan of, I don't know about you, but I read left to right. That's what I do. I'm a native English speaker, okay? Spanish, French, whatever, I believe we all go left to right. There's some cultures and writing systems, you know, that go right to left, like Snap-on, where this drew inspiration from. And I hate it. 1 inch is here, 15/16 is here. I'd like 15/16 and 1 inch here, and I'd like 5/16 and 3/8 here. Reverse course. Personal preference. Some of you are going to love this. Some of you are on board with me. Others of you honestly just don't care, and you're happy that it's labeled here. That said, it's kind of hard to see this stuff. Keep in mind, Icon is the premium line. This in particular, where it drew inspiration, Snap-on, that's what they're trying to compete with. And that's unfortunate, because I genuinely feel like Harbor Freight, some of their lower tier lines, has better features than Icon. Maybe not better material construction, that type of thing, but just like bonus features that aren't present on the top tier line, which kind of bothers me. What's one of them? Well, let's just start with the big guy here. I'm spinning it around over and over. I'm going to come up here and spin it. Did you ever see laser etching? Because I didn't. And if you didn't see it, that means good. It's not there. There is no laser etching. Quinn, they recently came out with some impact sockets that look eerily similar to Capri's. They've got laser etching. The Pittsburgh Pro. You have laser etching. And I say that, and you're like, well, I'd rather have stamping like these Icons. Well, here's the thing. They have stamping and laser etching. Blows my mind why your top tier product, you couldn't somewhere come in either on the socket or on the body and put a frickin' laser etch stamp, because it would show up so much better. This is another thing. You know, I prefer to read, you know, ascending order, like small to large, 0 to 100 type of a thing, 1 to 10. This is inverted of that, also inverted from my personal preference, which again, some of you are going to prefer this. I don't know how or why, but some of you will. The size stampings, everything, Icon is upside down. 1 for the size is upside down. Part number, upside down. Of course, nothing at all is over here because we have plenty of real estate to not laser etch, right? And then if you come into the bottom, upside down is warning, wear safety goggles. I'm reading it all upside down, by the way. Do not hold socket while in use, okay? So that's just a little warning thing, okay? If you put these in the tray, You know, and kind of, since this is a sort of a strange color, like you'd need to come in basically with a white, you know, and kind of run it over there, and maybe you could see these a little better. But right here, the only way I'm gonna like know what this is if I come in with like a paint marker and I write 1 and I put it up here too, and I totally do that on the icons because it infuriates me. The socket itself, it looks really good. It's got the radius corners, so we're gonna grab by the flats. You shouldn't round them off. It's decent articulation, right? These will break in and get floppier over time. Not the best thing I've ever felt, but not the worst. And again, at the price point, I can't really complain at all. It's reinforced where the pin is, and then right here it's chamfered. You can kind of see the spring action in there. It seems like a decent socket for the price. The thing is, if you put these on a rail, you cannot put these on the Hansen style, the pegs everyone seems to like. You can't do it because you can't have this pass through. It would be sitting on top, which would do what? It would cover the size marker, and it's probably not going to close even in like a top chest most of the time. So then you're kind of left with like either a friction peg from MTS or like something from Ernst or just any kind of that press fit style socket. All your size markings are upside down. Like, do we think when we design and develop a product, right? What they're doing with Quinn and Pittsburgh is opposite of this, and it's better, in my opinion. This is kind of Snap-on-esque, right? That's what they do. And you don't have to copy someone stylistically, you know, like line for line, motion for motion, when you can do something better, right? Like if Snap-on set was just like this, but chrome vanadium, don't do that. Make it chrome moly, make yours different, make it better. If Snap-on has this, but they don't have laser etching, add laser etching, especially when your cheaper lines all have the laser etching. It's just little things like that that irk me. Similarly, if you wanted to do this, if you were just like, well, our regular icon sockets, you know, you can't rack these, you know, the same way, but you know, they're all like this. We wanted to maintain the uniformity. Okay, I'll give you that. But do me a favor down here, come in and roll stamp in the opposite direction so you can appease everybody. Laser etch there, laser etch in the opposite direction. Do something, right? Because again, this isn't like their budget line. This is their cream of the crop, top of the line. And I genuinely believe as somebody that wants them to do well, put something out that people are like, hey, you know, didn't have high hopes for that. It turns out it's pretty good. I want it to present well to people, and those are little things you can do that make a huge, huge difference. Now, what we're going to do is come back to where we started. We've got our trusty little Hercules here. We'll go 15/16 on this one. I'll get the ball detents lined up. These are oiled lightly. They're nothing crazy, but you can see that sheen right there. Definitely were oiled to keep it from flash rusting. But this is a bit excessive. You're not going to do this all the time with your 3/8 stuff. 15/16. There's a good bit of play right there. We're going to go slow, mid, full speed coming now. So currently that's spinning pretty true. In part, this ratchet just does not produce the torque or the high speed and, you know, kind of sling this down like this and start running out real crazy. However, our Hercules Impact does. So we're going to throw this thing on. This one should fit a little tighter because, again, it's held on by a friction ring. Doesn't really rest on the anvil that well. But we're going to go, this is reverse, forward is pressed. So forward, we should get a little bit of kickback here, but we're lining it up as best I can. I'm wondering if this will slide off. It's actually quite loose, concerningly so. Let's see what happens. Yeah, that's creating a bit of vibration in the tool. So, you know, it's very hard to pull off, so I don't think it would come off on us. My lord. That was not a pleasant experience with that one. That was speed 3, mode 3, whatever you want to call it, so sort of cream of the crop, all she's got there. But this is ultimately just a deal, like I said, where it was too good to pass up. We now have swivels that we can utilize. If they're great, awesome. If they're good, cool. If they're junk, we got a warranty. We can replace it. We can ship them off, sell them, give them away, write them off, whatever. replace them and move on. But at that price with that coupon, rather than just let it waste, kind of couldn't say no to it. So those are my big complaints at this price point, and with this being the top of the line, laser etch should be standard. I don't care if it's the same as that and it's just put here and it's upside down. To me, just having it there, I wouldn't gripe about it then. I would gripe about the orientation, but that's personal preference. But these totally should be laser etched, being their cream of the crop, top of the line. Will it come off? Yes. What can you do to mitigate that? Put it down here. This is going to be the part rubbing in and going up against things. It just should be standard, in my opinion, just like the Capri ones. So, and Harbor Freight's lower tiered sockets. But like I said, for the price point, I felt like we kind of had to give it a go, and so we did. Now, what I can tell you, I've complained a ton about these plastic cases. I've sort of had to reverse course on the wrenches. I cannot find anything that does a good job of holding those long pattern ones. So the plastic cases are where it's at currently. Maybe I'll find something in the future, but right now I'm rolling back with them. That's why I kept them, why I didn't throw them away. I did foam them. If you want to use this, I would strongly suggest that you foam these. Pay attention to what foam you buy. It's critical. Don't get like the Expands 4 to 5 inch crud. That'll be bad. You'll crack this prematurely. But I'll probably go ahead and spray these. I don't believe these are going to stay here, though. I think I've got another plan for them that you're going to like better, and I'm going to like better, and it's certainly going to look a little cooler and be easier to read the size markings. But let me know your thoughts on all this. In particularly, some of you might have had these for quite some time now. How have they held up? More importantly, how do they compare to what you used previously? Were these an upgrade? Are they about the same? Are they terrible? And you ditched it. You didn't feel like giving these to your worst enemy. You threw them in the trash. You didn't even scrap them. Didn't want the metal guy to associate you with them. And you went back and bought your expensive swivel sockets. Whatever the case may be, what experience you have is definitely appreciated down in the comments section. And similarly here, I want to know, who's with me? Should these, at minimum, even if it's inverted and not my personal preference, should these be laser etched? Where would you like to see the laser etching? Do you think, as a top-of-the-line tool truck competitor branded line, that we should have roll stamping down farther on the socket body as well? Should we have laser etching there as well, essentially 4 markings? Whatever your thoughts are on that, feel free to let me know. But like I said, at 25% off, I don't really think we can go wrong. Once I come in and grab this, it's not a huge deal if it's not labeled like I would prefer, but if it articulates a little bit better and gets me around a fastener that I otherwise would have had a ton of trouble getting out, they're well worth it. This is not something I'm going to use all the time. That's one way you avoid like having to tape up your joints all the time and have pins come out, is use it when you need it, right? If you can get by with a standard socket, do that. Save these, you'll prolong the life on them. It's just the way I was brought up, the way I was taught, and what I still abide by. But yeah, with that said, we covered them as quick as we could. Again, in greater detail if you want it, we've covered the metric set, so check that out. Also in the Capri videos from Zorro, we bring in some of these. I actually took the screws out, unboxed them, grabbed one for comparison purposes. So you can see them there head to head, and pay attention to this versus the Capri and tell me that the Capri doesn't just look like the better product to you aesthetically based on the extras they did, like laser etching. Those are also oriented better in my opinion, but minor things overall, just top of the line. It strikes me just kind of sour when your lower tiered products have the laser etching. So I'll leave it at that. But LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all 3 at Lone Star Mopars. If you did not know, we've got videos Wednesdays and Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. Texas time. If you jump your charger across the creek and ring the bell, YouTube just might notify you. Otherwise, I encourage you to subscribe and ring the bell yourself manually. Check them out when they should be up. They should be there. And if not, let me know. We've got problems. But with that said, hopefully you enjoyed, and more importantly, I hope you have yourself a fantastic weekend.